Hi friends, welcome back to English Stories Cube, the place where you learn English through interesting stories and deep life lessons. Today, I am here with a beautiful story that teaches us one of life's most valuable lessons, that true strength lies not in the power of our reactions, but in the wisdom of our restraint. In a world that often moves too fast and demands too much, we can lose ourselves to the fire of anger, only to wake up surrounded by ashes of our own making. This is a story about discovering that the greatest warrior is not the one who conquers others, but the one who conquers the storm within. There was once a young warrior named Steve who could split mountains with his sword and defeat any opponent in battle. Yet there was one enemy he could never conquer, the fire that blazed within his own chest. His anger was swift and terrible, erupting at the smallest provocation, leaving behind a trail of broken friendships and deep regrets. One day, his master led him to a beautiful garden and pointed to a single stone resting in the center. "Move that stone," the master said, "and you will learn what true strength means." Steve approached the stone with confidence, expecting to lift it easily, but the stone wouldn't budge. He pushed harder, his face reddening with effort. Still, it remained unmoved. Frustration began to bubble inside him like boiling water. "This is impossible," he shouted, his voice echoing through the garden. His master simply smiled. "The stone has not moved, yet look how much you have changed in these few moments. Your breathing is rapid, your hands are trembling, and rage clouds your eyes. Tell me, who controls whom? You or your anger?" Steve stepped back, suddenly aware of the heat radiating from his body, the tension in his jaw, the storm brewing in his mind. He had allowed anger to possess him over something as simple as an immovable stone. "Come back tomorrow," his master said gently. "Try again, but this time, bring a different approach." The next morning, Steve returned. He looked at the stone, felt the familiar spark of frustration beginning to kindle, and paused. He took a deep breath, then another. He studied the stone carefully, noticing how it was wedged into the earth, how the soil had settled around it over years. Instead of forcing it with brute strength, he began to dig carefully around its edges. He worked slowly, patiently, pausing whenever he felt impatience rising. Hours passed. His hands grew dirty and sore, but his mind remained calm, focused on the task rather than the obstacle. Finally, as the sun reached its peak, the stone loosened. With a gentle, measured effort, Steve lifted it from the ground. His master appeared beside him. "You see, yesterday you had all your strength, yet the stone defeated you. Today, you used less force but achieved more. What made the difference?" "Yesterday, I let anger make my decisions," Steve replied, wiping the soil from his hands. "Today, I decided for myself." Over the following months, Steve practiced this awareness in every aspect of his life. When a merchant shortchanged him, instead of exploding, he paused and breathed. He found his voice became more persuasive when calm than when raised in fury. When a fellow student insulted him, instead of challenging him to combat, Steve acknowledged his own anger without acting on it, and discovered that the feeling passed like a cloud crossing the sun. He began to notice something remarkable. The situations that once ignited his rage were often small, insignificant things: a spilled drink, a careless word, a minor inconvenience. His anger had been making mountains out of pebbles, stealing his peace over matters that wouldn't even be remembered the next day. One evening, a genuine crisis arose. Bandits attacked his village. The old Steve would have charged forward blindly, consumed by righteous fury. But now, with a clear mind, he organized the villagers, positioned defenders strategically, and resolved the situation with minimal harm to anyone. His clear-headedness saved lives that night. After the danger passed, his master found him sitting quietly by the garden, looking at the empty space where the stone had once been. "I understand now," Steve said. "Anger isn't the problem. It's a signal, like pain telling us something needs attention. The problem was letting it control me, letting it make my choices. And now, his master asked, now I choose my responses. Anger may visit, but it no longer lives in my home. Steve went on to become not just a great warrior, but a wise leader known for his composure in chaos and his strength in stillness. People sought his counsel not because he never felt anger, but because he had learned the greatest victory any person can achieve: mastery over themselves. And so we must remember, anger is like fire. In a hearth, it gives warmth and light. Unleashed without control, it destroys everything we hold dear. The choice is always ours. We cannot control every storm that comes, but we can choose whether to be a ship with a steady rudder or driftwood tossed by every wave. True strength isn't found in how powerfully we react, but in how wisely we respond. The greatest battles are won not with raised fists, but with patient hearts. So friends, to improve your English, you can listen to this story again and practice speaking slowly along with it. And if you felt peace while listening to this story, share it with someone who needs calmness today. And don't forget to subscribe to English Stories Cube, where every story helps you learn English and discover yourself. See you in the next video.